And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Saturday, January 25th, 2025. And we continue to watch an area of low pressure lifting out of the North Pacific. It has some warm and very moist air associated with an atmospheric river that is streaming northward up along the western Gulf into south central areas of the state, bringing moderate to heavy rainfall, strong gusty winds, the potential for minor flooding of rivers, creeks, and along low or poor drainage areas, and the threat of avalanches. We've seen temperatures in the 40s, even near 50 degrees. Southern Alaska and down along areas of the Gulf Coast will be most in line of getting some of this heavier rainfall. In the cold air, especially along and on the other side, the north and west side of the Alaska Range, in through areas of the central and southwest interior, wrapping all the way down into the eastern Aleutians. Heavy snow, strong gusty winds, even some icy mix of precipitation, and that will continue as we go through this Saturday night and through the day Sunday. And then it looks like as we go through next week, a batch of Arctic air will be spreading west to east across the mainland, so it will be turning much colder and drier, especially across the interior here as we go through the week ahead. But kind of show you what's going on here. Aniak there on the middle Kuskokwim River, snow and fog, 25 degrees. This area here could pick up at least a foot of snow, if not a bit more. Sleet Mute further east is getting some light freezing rain with a temperature just below freezing. Same case as we go up toward McGrath and up to Lake Minchumina. Those areas there are seeing kind of a light mix, icy mix of precipitation, including some rain, freezing rain, sleet. So that'll cut down on the snowfall amounts, but areas just west, as you get further west of Lake Minchumina, McGrath, Sleet Mute, drop down toward Bethel. The snowfall is going to be very heavy there. And in fact, blizzard warnings are in effect for the Bethel area and along areas of Kuskokwim Bay. Now, to give you a contrast of temperatures, up there in the northwest, there along the Chukchi Sea coast and the Bering Strait, Wales, mostly sunny, 9 below zero as of mid-afternoon. That's the air temperature. They're not getting too much wind there, but 9 below. Meanwhile, Anchorage, breezy, some light rain, 44 this afternoon, but last night temperatures around Merrill Field up in the northeast side of Anchorage were holding between 45 and 50 degrees, so it's been very mild. And one of our viewers, Katie in Tok, she reported record warmth at 47 there on the other side of the Alaska Range in the upper Tanana Valley. So we have a number of warnings that continue. Winter storm warnings south of Adigan and Anatuvik passes, including Bettles, areas just north and west of Fairbanks. Some heavier snow and blowing snow, 6-10 inches there. But as we get on the other side of the Alaska Range, McGrath, and as I said, Lake Minchumina has had a mix of precipitation. But the area right west of there, Galena down through Anvik and going toward Bethel, I'm going to see over a foot of snow. In fact, some of the heaviest snow is going to fall in portions of the southwest there around Bristol Bay. Now, for areas of south central, especially the upper Copper River Basin, as you butt up against the Alaska Range, that would include Paxton Lake and then on over toward north of Talkeetna on your way up to Broad Pass toward the Alaska Range. 8-12 inches of snow. There's some heavier snow falling now as of this afternoon. Meanwhile, we go further south. It's rain. The areas in yellow, this is a flood watch through Monday morning, and the flood watch extends up the Susitna Valley and including Wasilla, Palmer, down through the Anchorage Bowl. We've had a number of reports of minor flooding. I'll show you that more in a moment. And then we have some strong gusty winds, and we also have avalanche warnings in effect for Hatcher Pass and areas going down there along the Seward Highway from Turnagain Pass down through Summit Lake and Moose Pass. So we're still going to see gusty winds into Monday morning. Areas of the Copper River Basin as we get there around Glen Allen, gusts up to 40, 45 miles an hour, also around Wasilla, Palmer. And then in through the Anchorage area, Turnagain arm gusts 30, 40 miles an hour will be common. Still could be some locally higher gusts at times up there. Anchorage hillside above Potter Marsh, that area could get some wind gusts of 55 to perhaps as high as 70 miles per hour. But of more pressing concern is just all this rain coming up and the runoff. So we've already have flood advisories in effect long areas here. The highway Willow up to Talkeetna and then down along Palmer and extending through the Anchorage Bowl area and then down to the Kenai Peninsula and dropping all the way down to Homer. Roadways along here, there is some ponding of water along some of the streams, or if you have a side road or street there that crosses a creek or a small river, or it's just a poor drainage area. There have been a number of reports, already 2 to 3 inches of rain reported in areas of the western Kenai. And the heavier rains have yet to really arrive here once we get that really strong southerly flow, that more moist air of the atmospheric river along the south and east side of the Kenai Peninsula, and then going here around Prince William Sound and extending through Cordova. Some of these areas here where you have that added lift due to the rise in elevation are going to pick up 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. So that's why we have flood watches and flood advisories in effect. So just keep that in mind, keep an eye on things. And then as we go further west, as I was just indicating, Sleet Mute in that area up toward McGrath have seen some freezing rain and sleet today. Not as much snow, but to the west, the heavier snow is once you get there around and especially west-southwest of Aniak down through Bethel and along the Kuskokwim Delta. 18 to 24 inches of snow is expected through Monday morning, and you're going to have some strong gusty winds creating blizzard conditions in this area for the Kuskokwim Delta. Interestingly enough, you go just across the Utolan Strait to Nunavik Island, Makoriak is not expecting to get much more than an inch of snow, so it's a very narrow band of heavy snow setting up here across the southwest interior. Another area that's getting hit now is the eastern Aleutians. We're getting the colder air, strong north winds develop as low pressure is coming up out of the North Pacific. It will be crossing the Alaska Peninsula Sunday morning and midday. And as a result, we've already seen rain changing to snow with the colder air coming in. So that's already happened now all the way up through Dutch Harbor and on Alaska, and will continue to shift eastward along the lower portion of the Alaska Peninsula as we go through this evening. The other issue we've had warm temperatures. We've had rain. We've had strong gusty winds, snow in the higher elevations of the mountains surrounding the Seward Highway. So we have very high avalanche danger here, Hatcher Pass, and then the areas around Turnagain Pass down through Summit Lake and Moose Pass. These areas are under avalanche warnings through at least Sunday morning, could likely be extended. So again, it'd be best to refrain from any backcountry activities given this adverse weather, making for very favorable conditions for avalanches. Also, another area of considerable concern is around and east of Valdez through Thompson Pass, and that could increase again in this area as we get into later tonight and on Sunday, because the focus of that atmospheric river of the heavier rainfall is going to be hitting along these areas as we go through this Saturday evening and into the day on Sunday. So the satellite imagery shows just a steady stream of moisture coming northward, this feed of moisture, warm moist air coming in to along the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island through the Western Gulf into South Central. Meanwhile, we've had this strong ridge of high pressure. Yesterday we had a 1046 high out over the North Pacific, just south of the Gulf. It's very unusual to have that high of a high pressure system in the wintertime over the warmer waters of the North Pacific and the Gulf area. Just unusual. Usually have a 1046 high where you have Arctic air and it's really cold. Well, here we have the stream of moisture. Low pressure is located here now. It will be slowly lifting northward and coming ashore here around this area of Bristol Bay between Bethel and Dillingham as we go into Sunday early evening. And then that low will eventually take a track up through the southwest interior and then curve back to the northeast up through the middle upper Yukon Valley as we head into Monday as the system gradually weakens. But here's the way it looks this afternoon. It's a 990 low, and it's going to continue to lift northward along this stalled out front. Meanwhile, as I mentioned to you, 9 below the air temperature there at the Bering Strait at Wales. 18 below, that's the air temperature as of mid-afternoon at Point Hope. That's not any wind. There's some bitterly cold air up here over Siberia, and some of that is coming eastward with time. We have to wait for this low to pass up and come in through the interior before that cold air will be able to spread across the entire mainland and into the Panhandle into the latter half of this upcoming week. So by late tonight, early Sunday morning, we have this low occluding further dropping pressure down around 979 millibars. Strong winds on the backside of it in the eastern Aleutians. That's why you're going to have that winter storm warning for 10 to 20 inches of snow with near blizzard conditions at times. Blizzard conditions here for the lower portion of the Kuskokwim River down along the Kuskokwim Bay and Delta. And this front's just kind of stationary as this whole system lifts off toward the north as we head into Sunday. We still have high pressure, not as strong as it was the past couple of days, but it's sitting south of Haida Gwaii in the North Pacific. Sunday afternoon, we find cold front working its way eastward. We have this occluded front, and again, this low is just going to lift northward across the southwest interior, just west of the Alaska Range as we go through Sunday evening and Sunday night, so that by Monday afternoon, it'll be up here toward the middle upper Yukon Valley and just remnant troughs of once were fronts, but we're still going to have areas of light to occasionally moderate snow in the interior, and temperatures are going to be turning colder. That colder air will be allowed to spread southeastward and eastward with time as we go through the week. So temperatures are going to be turning colder. Sunday morning lows, look at here, North Slope along the Arctic coast, down along the Chukchi Sea coast. Readings 10 to 20 below zero. Those are the air temperatures. Meanwhile, we've had temperatures that will probably stay above freezing. Fairbanks and certainly through any of these gaps, stronger gusty winds temperatures are going to stay above freezing across much of south central as we go back toward the Panhandle. Lows near the freezing mark, especially inner channels. But here, this area here, that's that pocket of warmer air ahead of the low center. It'll be up over the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, southern Kenai. Temperatures will stay in the 40s overnight. And Sunday afternoon, we still have readings along and south and east of the Alaska Range, 30s and 40s, extending all the way down through the Panhandle. Notice, though, colder, the backside of the system, temperatures at or below freezing. Eastern Aleutians, 19, the high there at St. Paul, 9 below at Savunga. So that colder air will begin to make inroads southeastward as we get into Monday. Monday morning lows will be below zero along areas of the southwest, the lower Yukon, Kuskokwim Basin, coming on up to the middle Yukon and across the North Slope and eastern Arctic. Temperatures are going to start to cool, and then daytime highs, notice single digits above or below zero, extending now all the way down into the southwest. Still, readings are going to be a bit above freezing, say through the Anchorage Bowl up into Talkeetna, Wasilla. Still yet here in through Fairbanks and the Tanana Valley, you could see temperatures above freezing. And then here out across the Panhandle, there will be some moisture finally coming into the Panhandle later Sunday night and on Monday, though not as focused as the heavier rains here along the coast here, along the Kenai and into the north central Gulf. That will take aim but begin to weaken, but still some of the intercoastal mountains here are going to pick up some moderate to locally heavy snow with rain closer to sea level and in the lower elevation. So the temperature outlook here as we start early February. Yesterday I showed you a very strong the past couple of days that we are going to see a shot of colder air work its way across the mainland. That'll be for the latter half of this coming week through the next weekend. And then after that, we start to see readings later as we get into the following week. The coldest air will likely be centered over the southeast portion of the state. That it would include the Panhandle and the southeast mainland. Meanwhile, temperatures are expected to be closer to normal across the western half of the mainland, and then a little above normal extending out through the end of the Alaska Peninsula and especially out across the Aleutians. Precipitation-wise, too, this will bring a little drier stretch of weather to areas along the Gulf Coast, including the Panhandle, but we could see a couple more storms coming in by next weekend into early February. We're going to see a couple of storms coming in off the Bering, which could increase the threat of heavier than normal precipitation in the form of snowfall here, especially along west and northwest areas of the state, along the Chukchi Sea, including the western Brooks Range and much of the Seward Peninsula down through St. Lawrence Island. And this would be at the very end of January for the beginning days of February.